Well, you know what? It's time for the RotoWire Rundown. It's Tuesday morning, 11:15 my time here on the East Coast, and of course, it is 8:15 out on the West Coast. I'm Keith Stewart from Read the Line, and of course, I am with award-winning fantasy golf writer for RotoWire, Len Hochberg. Len, good morning. How are you on this fantastic Tuesday of another signature event?
Now that you mention it, a little sleepy this morning. I'm going to try and perk up here, but it seems a little earlier than than most 8:15s for me. But ready to go, ready to chat with you.
Wait a second. Where's the RotoWire coffee cup? I mean, I don't know what's in there. It could be Celsius for all I know, or coffee black, but where is it? You always have it.
It is black, and I haven't had it yet. And the to I don't know, to go a little inside baseball here, the coffee has not been made yet in the
Oh,
house this morning, so that's probably my trouble here.
all
But
right. Well, let me get going here before you get grumpy. All right. And then, I want to pick your brain on a couple of things. And the first thing is just like I'd mentioned, we have another one of these signature events, 73 guys, some sort of a makeshift cut. We're out here where I am, which is at Murfield Village Golf Club. We're getting ready for the memorial. It's Jack's event. This is one of the as a kid growing up, this was the one event I was like, man, this is the coolest golf course. This is Jack. This is like Arnie at Bay Hill. I mean, and then now all of a sudden, it just seems like it's squeezed on the schedule right in front of Pinehurst. Is that a bad read on my part? And then, I mean, and then there's another event right after it, and it seems like these signature events aren't finding homes. We have majors, right? Break it down for me a little bit. I mean, you cover golf, week after week after week. Do you like this schedule? Do you like these big previews, or would you like them to be a little bit more set apart?
Uh, I don't like it. I don't think Jack Nicklaus likes it. I don't
Oh yeah,
think I don't think the top golfers like it, and I know for sure the lesser golfers don't like it because a lot of them are not going to be playing for 3 weeks. So close
sure.
to a month of they're not getting in the signatures if they didn't qualify for the US Open. So it's really condensed, and they have these 8 signature events, and we know the genesis of all of that, including the genesis. It's it began with Live, and so they have these 8 big money events, and the reason they're so condensed is at least is admirable in this regard, that the way the tour has described it, they want to clear the deck for later in the season to let the lesser guys fight their way into the playoffs, or anyone who needs to get into the playoffs to have some opportunities and not squeezed out. So after the Travelers, which follows the US Open, which follows the Memorial, there will be no more signature events. But I know that Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods would like more players in their tournament, and this was sort of the tour wanted a no cut, and so this was a sort of a compromise of, in golf words, in golf parlance, a baby cut this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally with you on this one. And I mean, you and I are both golf guys. I mean, we're golf geeks. We love this stuff. But so let's start with the Masters. We're going to do a signature event right after it. Then, well, maybe we'll try something different and we'll put the Wells Fargo right before the PGA, the second major of the year. And then the third time, let's put one on both sides of it. I mean, last year was the epitome of the insanity when they made the guys go from LACC all the way to the Travelers in Hartford, Connecticut. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, these guys are staying at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and then all of a sudden they're at a Days Inn out there in Cromwell, Connecticut. I mean, I don't get it at all. I would love to see the dartboard where they throw up, the darts and try to figure out where these things fall on the schedule. And a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that Memorial is called the Memorial because it was around Memorial Day weekend. It's really because of the celebration that this week is for all of golf, the Hall of Famers, the people. They're celebrating Julie Inkster this year and what they do for golf and what Jack and Barbara have done for golf. But at the end of the day, I mean, this event should be standalone. Throw me a John Deere, then throw me Murfield Village, throw me the Memorial, and then throw me, I don't know, the 3M or something like that. I mean, I think we can do better. And the good news is, Len, you and I both know it's all going to change again next year. That's guaranteed, right?
If one thing can be certain in golf, it never ends. It always changes. Yeah, and I guess the other part of the equation is they want to get, and smartly, that part of this is they wanted to get away from football and be done before Labor Day.
Yeah.
So, like in a lot of sports, they say play fewer tournaments, or in baseball, play fewer games and stuff. And nobody ever wants to do that because you just lose money. If you play less. So that's one thing that won't change. Money will dictate just about every decision.
Well, I tell you what, just to transition and get on a much more fun subject for us, you want to talk about a money golf course. Muirfield Village Golf Club is absolutely exquisite. I love coming out to Ohio for this event, coming out to Columbus. Jack's people take such good care of all the media, the players, the volunteers. They're all out walking around in the Golden Bear colored shirts. And this golf course, even before the renovation in 2020, but since the renovation, has been such a good test of golf. And one of the reasons why my sentiment is that it should be a standalone event, almost like, as valuable instead of a signature event. But this is one of the best courses they play on the PGA Tour, and as witnessed by the champions here. When you look at the guys that win, Cantley, Rahm, Hovland, it's just a great list of guys. Tiger's the only guy that's ever defended here, and he did it twice. He won 3 in a row. But it's always seemed to crown really good champions. And in doing so, when you're building your lineups this week, what are you favoring as the skills or characteristics for the players who are trying to become the champion this Sunday?
Well, pretty much everything. And that's what, I agree with you on all fronts with Muirfield Village. Just a great golf course. I write in my article that is live on RotoWire now that in many ways it is the perfect golf course. And I don't mean it's not St. Andrews, it's not Augusta, it's not Pebble Beach, but it requires the golfer to use the proverbial every club in his bag. And what I really like about it is that everything gets harder later. It gets harder closer to the hole. Jack gives you a little bit off the tee. The fairways are a little bit wide, although the rough is 4 inches, so don't dare leave the fairway. But it's really tricky around the green and on the green. And so not only does everything get harder, closer to the green and the hole, but then the back 9 is tougher than the front 9. And 16 and 17 and 18 are the hardest holes on the course. Last year, number 18 was the 6th hardest hole on the entire PGA Tour of about 900. And 16 was the 13th hardest, and 17 was the 26th hardest. So I'm sorry, Green Mile, Bear Trap, whatever you want. This is the toughest horrible horseshoe. This is the toughest, which is a ridiculous name. It's the toughest 3-hole stretch on the tour. Maybe we can call it the Golden Bear Trap. I don't know, but so it really requires everything. And I think if you can't scramble. And we don't think of scrambling and Victor Hovland in the same sentence, but he was pretty good last year. And we know he does everything else pretty well or very well. So it just requires every skill set, or else you are not going to be there come Sunday. And Scotty Scheffler was a perfect example last year.
I love you, Len. You're the best. I think maybe we'll call it the Golden Bear Beatdown or something like that. It's not great for TV, but boy, oh boy, even when you walk those 3 holes. Remember the year where Phil was laying up on the par 3 16th on purpose just to make a point? It's beyond hard for the sake of being hard. But really what it comes down to, and that 16th hole, it really exemplifies what the test is here. And that is that you've got roughly 50% of the approach shots are coming in from over 175 yards to very small greens. On average, they're about 6,000 square feet. And this is the 5th longest course on tour. So at the end of the day, if you're not a good long iron player, a la Victor Hovland, Patrick Cantley, John Rahm, these guys that keep Hideki, these guys that keep winning here, Tiger, then, you're definitely not part of the conversation. And it's not very often, and you just brought this up, that we get a test of around the green play as difficult as it is here. And what's really unique about that, with where this sits on the schedule, is that we're coming into what I think will be the toughest around the green test of the year at Pinehurst number 2, but that's going to be short grass and this is long grass. It's just really kind of an interesting preview. I can't wait to see if there's any parallels or not. And then the third thing I'd say that I'm kind of featuring this week is that they made the scoring a lot tougher after the renovation. And the par 5s here are like the 5th toughest on tour. They're actually made into 3-shot holes. And I think that really tests all aspects of the game. You got to be a great total driver, right? You got to get the ball in play. You got to have a good game plan. You know, Jack was one of the most cerebral golfers there was. So you got to know where to lay up, and then you got to be good with a wedge to score. So for me, I love the way that the par five scoring here kind of takes over. I said, since the renovation, average winning score is 12 under par. So what Victor won last year at 7, and he made like 17 subpar scores. So you really have to be good around this place. It's such an awesome, well-rounded affair.
You know, Scotty Scheffler finished second. It was Hovland and Denny McCarthy in a playoff.
Yep.
And Scott, you know, Justin Ray tweeted something out last night. We all know Justin Ray, just fantastic wealth of information that Scheffler led the field off the tee, led the field approach, led the field around the green, therefore led the field tee to green, greens in regulation, proximity. And you would think you should win by 8 shots if
Oh
you
yeah.
do that. But to get back to needing every club in the bag, he was 65th in putting, dead last among everybody who made the cut.
Yep.
And he missed the playoff by a stroke. He lost about 8 shots, maybe more than 8 shots on the green. So you really do need every facet of your game, because Scotty Scheffler was all-time incredible in every facet with 13 clubs, but not 14.
I mean, I don't know that I've ever experienced something where a guy gained 20 strokes on the field, tee to green, and then he lost 9 with the putter. I mean, he should have won by 5. I mean, he should have won by 7. I mean, you can't even really it's tough to even rationalize, you know, the polar performance that he had there. It's just kind of crazy. And, you know, that leads us right into the names, as we always do during the rundown here on Tuesday mornings, is that, you know, we got to start building out our DFS cards. And, you know, seems as if Rory and Xander, with their great play lately, have done us a favor. I see Scotty's down in the 12K range. He's no longer 13.3, right? So is it now that he's 1,000 less, and I believe there's no 5K this week, like, does Scotty become a more viable play, or is there somebody else at the top of the board in the 10K plus that you're featuring on your cards this week?
You know, I was all in on Scotty Scheffler, and still am. I don't know if you can qualify all in. I mean, it seems like it's all in or not all in, but I did read a quote from him this morning where he was saying he's not getting a ton of sleep, and understandably so,
Huh.
with the newborn back home. But I think otherwise, he, you know, because he is putting better now than dead last in 65th in the field. He has found a mediocre putting stroke, and so I am very high on Scotty Scheffler this week. And you know, and it's been an eternity since he's won. So I think he's way overdue to win, because it's been 3 tournaments, I think, since he's won. So I do like him. And I do like Rory. Rory has obviously turned it around, 4th again last week. He's pivoted somewhere, maybe with the Zurich, maybe that one tournament with all the joy of playing with Shane Lowry, just completely, you know, flipped a switch for him. So I do like him, and I like Hovland too. And I wouldn't have said that a week ago, of course, or 2 weeks ago, but he obviously, you know, just became Victor Hovland again overnight at the PGA, finished 3rd, reunited with his swing coach, and everything that was wrong was right again. And you know, it'll be a tough test this week. And you know, the curious thing is that Xander Schauffele, I don't think he's ever had a top 10 here.
It's not.
And you can't say that at many courses for Xander Schauffele. This might be the only one of the ones he plays with any regularity. So I had to leave somebody out, and you don't like to leave the number 2 golfer in the world. You just want a major out, but I do give a little bit edge to the other 3.
Well, I think it's funny. I love the way you started that. Scotty's complaining about lack of sleep. Well, I'm sure he's been sleeping like a baby while all of his competitors have been losing sleep all year. So the irony there, I think is incredible. All right. So if someone's going to challenge him, right, we've got a couple guys down in the 9K range that have great course history. You've got one who's trending up in Colin, and you've got one that I'm not sure which way he's trending in Cantley. Where are you going in 9K?
Yeah, I do like Colin Morikawa. He is now up to 71st on tour in strokes gained approach, which sounds,
Ooh.
crazy, but it's really maybe the high water mark of his season, except maybe, I don't know, the first tournament or something like that. But he's been getting better and he's been excellent off the tee, excellent around the green. Yes, he still has, challenges on the green, but we talked about you need to be, have your chipping and wedge game around the green this week. And he's really terrific in that area this year, as is Justin Thomas, also in the
Yeah.
9,000s. Also a terrible player. I think Justin Thomas, he hasn't won and he really hasn't challenged to win this year, but he's got a lot of good results and he had two
He
bad
does.
ones in high profile places in the Players and the Masters, but he just had a top 10 at the PGA. And I think he's the proverbial close. And I do like him in the nines as well.
Well, we get down to the 8K range, and this is like your venerable potpourri of the week. This bracket here, you've got your Hidekis, your Homas, your Spieths. I mean, there's a bunch of guys there. So I really don't know. Sometimes I can guess what direction you're going, but I honestly don't know where you're going in 8K. So let us know.
Well, I was a little surprised in the direction I went here because when I saw all those names, and there are still a lot of good names in the eights, some heavyweights in the eights, I saw Ben on and I go, well, what is he doing here? What he was like
Yeah.
8,400 or something. But you look at the numbers, he's seventh in the FedEx Cup point standings. And I know we don't usually like to go by that, but it's not nothing. And he just kills the ball off the tee. He's one of the longest hitters. And the change for him, he was on the Corn Ferry Tour a year ago, but he's
Oh,
had some
sure.
good, but he's figured out, he made his way back. He's putting decently with so many of these great ball strikers. You just say putt less terrible and
Yep.
you'll be good. And he's perfect example of that. He's played well here. He's had a runner up here a number of years ago. He was 25th here last year. So he can play this golf tournament. So golf course. So I was really surprised that he was there. Russell Henley at 8,000. He's also 40-1. And one thing I look for and I advise others to do is to look at maybe sometimes it's disparity between the DFS price and the sports book price. And
Yeah.
you could find some value there. Well, Russell Henley's 40-1. So is Sahith Theegala, who I do like, and Max Homa and Jordan Spieth. And you would not normally put Russell Henley in the same sentence as those guys. But the DK Sportsbook does, and they do like him this week. And a lot of the boxes check off for Henley's played well here, playing well. We know he hits the ball straight as an arrow off the tee, and he's only $8,000. He could fit into a lineup with Scotty Scheffler and maybe one of the other big name guys as well.
I do like Henley this week. I mean, he's got the toolkit in order to get it done around here. I mean, everything he does, especially the wedge play and how accurate he is. And I don't know that you have to be the greatest putter in the world in order to win here. But speaking of good putters, Ben Griffin, unbelievable runner up last week in Canada. But how about the fact that, can he do it 2 weeks in a row? Or are we looking at somebody like a past champion like Billy Horschel when it comes down to the 7K range?
Ben Griffin was a pick of mine last week. He was in the RotoWire article, so I was pulling hard to make myself look good. Didn't have
Love it.
It's what we all do. Said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
But I did not have Bob McIntyre, but congrats to him. Wonderful story with his dad and everything. I don't have Ben Griffin on the docket this week. I mean, Denny McCarthy. I mean, duh. I don't know how you can not pick Denny McCarthy. He's finished second here last year, fifth the year before. He's a better golfer now. He's an incredible putter. He's favorably priced in the mid sevens. So I do like him. And Billy Horschel, who is now in the field, he just won this tournament just 2 years ago,
Yeah.
seventh on tour in strokes gained putting. Obviously will matter this week. You can cure a lot of bad things around the green and everywhere else if you can sink some putts at this golf course. I do like him, and I also like Shane Lowry. He was 16th last year, and coming off a terrific PGA as well.
You know what? We love to have some fun here on the rundown, week after week, covering the PGA Tour, pop culture topics, all of it. But down in the 7K land, we've got Davis Thompson, Davis Riley, and Cam Davis. I mean, are one of these Davises on your betting board, or is there somebody else?
Well, no, those guys are not on my board, but I love that sort of stuff, and I do the same thing with the names. I mean, we've got about 4,300 Taylors on the tour, either first name or last name, and then there's a Tyler and a Tyson, and then we're not even going to get into Taylor Gooch. I don't know how he spells his name,
Don't
but
forget all the Cams, right?
yeah, yeah, it's I think they were all born around the same time, and you know, I don't know if they're all Swifties now, all the Taylors, but no,
Great.
those I do like Lowry and Danny McCarthy and Billy Horschel are my picks in the sevens.
All right, so we're getting down to the 6K range, right? And this is where the Davises lie. So hit me up with those.
Okay. Should explain to people that only 73 golfers in this field, top 50 in ties, plus within 10 shots of the lead,
Yep.
get to the weekend. So the vast majority of guys, so a lot of these 6,000s will make it. Don't fear the 6,000s. A Tigers tournament, it actually cut about as well as it could. 51 of 70. So just got one over the 50 mark. But at Bay Hill, only 11 guys were cut. How must have been very easy to get onto at the airport, not crowded, not the
No,
rental car return, whatever. 58 of 69 made it. So I don't know if that'll happen this week, but in theory, everyone could make the cut if they're within 10 shots.
sure.
And this is
Yeah.
when you're in such a low number, we're not getting up to 20 under in this tournament and stuff. But I do like a couple of names in the 6,000s, and Austin Eckroat is one, and I liked him last year. I went back and looked at my article from last year. He finished 30th last year for the very same reason. It's just really good ball striker, good tee to green player. I don't expect a high finish from Austin Eckroat. And Patrick Rogers,
Oh,
at 6,500. Yeah, he sort of popped for me a little bit. He's had some good results here. 6 top 25s this year on tour. He's had some good results at the Memorial. He's had a top 10. He's had a top 20. You look at his strokes gain stats, and they are not pretty much all the way up and down. But ultimately, what matters is what he does on the leaderboard. And he does have those 6 top 25s, and he's playing pretty well. And he's played this course a lot through the years.
well, as we transition over to the betting board, one of the names you mentioned earlier, I believe it's his time at the Memorial, and that's Colin Morikawa. He's sitting at plus 1,400. He's right behind the big three, and with good reason. Over his last 5 starts, we have a third at Augusta, a ninth, a 16th, a fourth, and a fourth at Valhalla, right? So, I mean, this guy, since returning back to his original coach, Rick Sessinghaus, he has just played incredibly past Bay Hill. He's won the workday here. A lot of people forget last year, they don't see Morikawa's name, and then they go to the bottom of the leaderboard and it says withdrew. Well, he was in the mix. Remember, he pulled out with back spasms on Sunday morning. So, this golf course just fits him because he's a fader of the golf ball off the tee. He's extremely accurate. And now you put into play the fact that he's much better around the greens. I think this place perfectly suits Morikawa for what he's been doing. And there's no doubt that he's trending. And think about Valhalla. That's another Nicklaus design, and he was 4th place there. So, I mean, there's just a lot of the planets are aligning here. And he's second in scoring average on the property in this field, only behind Patrick Cantlay. And Cantlay hasn't been that great lately. So I really put Morikawa in a position of prominence on this betting board. And then the second guy is, I'm going to go a little bit further down in the middle of the board at plus 6,000. I think there's a really unique opportunity. And I think it's time that Siwoo Kim gets himself another big win on the PGA Tour. I mean, he's played incredibly all season, and he's got 4 straight top 20s here at Muirfield Village Golf Club. And not to mention the fact he's top 10 in scrambling around the green and bogey avoidance. And you and I both know when it comes to driving accuracy, that guy can thread the needle better than anybody. Now, Len, I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. Keith, he can't putt. And you know what, Len? You're right. But with few exceptions, he's actually positive at putting here on the property. And I'm not sure if that's a Nicklaus thing, because he's also positive on the property at the Nicklaus tournament course out at the Amex, which he's won, right? But he's great at some of the comp courses too. TPC Sawgrass, an awesome comp course here. I mean, you think about Kuchar, Hideki. I mean, all the crossover guys, Rahm, that play well here, they play well down there at the Players, right? He putts well there. And another place, and most people don't think of this as a comp course, but I love this one, and it's like my secret weapon for leaderboards, and that is TPC Sawgrass. Waste Management, Phoenix Open. All right, look at the leaderboards over the years. Look at the names: Cantley, Scotty, Hideki, Ricky, Jordan. They all play well there. They all play well here. Siwoo, another place where he putts positively. I think if Siwoo could just go 1 or 2 positive with the putter here, which he's done many times in the past, right? Certainly over those last 4 straight top 20s, I think he's a big factor. And the way that he's striking the golf ball this season, he's trending, and I think it's going to pay off.
One of the things with stats, we can sort of get them to tell us what we want them to tell us. And yes, it certainly looks like Siwoo Kim is a terrible putter and has not, but you did mention that his bogey avoidance numbers are good.
They are.
And I don't know how, that would not seem to jibe, bogey avoidance and bad putting. So he's got to be making some putts and got to be doing some things right on the green if you're avoiding bogeys. And that's a very good thing to do this week. I would recommend to all the golfers to avoid as many bogeys as possible. Just my, if I can offer a little bit of advice to all 73, I'm not picking out Siwoo Kim, all of them. So all joking aside, you've got to be able to do something to avoid bogeys. And so his putting numbers are bad, but we can get the numbers to do what we want them to do.
Well, you know what I recommend? To steal that word from you there, I recommend everybody watches the RotoWire Rundown every Tuesday morning at 11:15 my time on the East Coast and 8:15 Pacific time for you, right? We break down all the pop culture stories in and around the betting and the DFS lineups that you're going to need in order to win your weekend wagers. So, Mr. Hochberg, the next time we talk, I'll be down in Pinehurst, and we'll be talking about the 3rd major championship of the season. For now, get yourself another signature win, and everyone check out, the RotoWire write-up from Len and read the line from me. Thanks for being here, and have a great week, everybody.
Thanks, Keith.